Hello learners. In this tutorial we will be learning CSS Grid and how to use it. Watch this video till the end. Please support this channel. Before starting this video, I would request you all to please go through my latest book, The Idealism of Lord Ram. This book teaches us about the life journey of Lord Ram. The link of this book is in the description box. Do read this book, you'll surely love it. Now let's start with the tutorial. CSS Grid is a grid-based layout which allows developers to easily create complex web layouts easily. Similar to Flex, CSS Grid components are Grid Container, Grid Items. To use CSS Grid, we use Display, Grid, for block-level grid container or Display, Inline Grid, for inline-level grid container. There are two types of gap property in CSS Grid. Column gap, which specifies the gap between the columns in a grid. 2. Row gap, which specifies the gap between the rows in a grid. Both the above gap properties has one shorthand property gap. Grid template columns. The grid template columns property defines the number of columns in your grid layout, and it defines the width of each column. Grid template rows. The grid template rows property defines the number of rows in your grid layout, and it defines the width of each row. Justify content. This property is used to align grid items when they do not use all available space horizontally. Its values are space evenly, space around, space between, center, start and end. Align content. The align content property is used to align the grid items when they do not occupy spaces vertically. Its values can be space evenly, space around, space between, center, start, end. Let's look at all these properties one by one. We have taken a div container and 6 span items. We have given a basic designing to all these. We have then added some grid properties like display grid, grid template columns and gap property, justify content and align content. Grid column start property specifies where to start a grid item. Grid column end property specifies where to end a grid item. Grid column property is a shorthand property for the grid column start and the grid column end properties. Grid column 2/span2. Grid row start property specifies where to start a grid item. Grid row end property specifies where to end a grid item. Grid row property is a shorthand property for the grid row start and the grid row end properties. Grid row 1/span2. Justify self property is used to align the content of a grid item along the row axis. Justify self, center. Align self property is used to align the content of a grid item along the column axis. Align self, center. Let's look at quick demonstration. Do subscribe to this channel as we are going to do various projects in upcoming videos, which will help you improve your web development skills. Do not forget to give your valuable suggestions in the comment box. This was all in this video. Thanks for watching this video. Like this video, share with your friends and subscribe to this channel.